For the record, it is still a lot of fun, and I very much enjoy this.
That's right. If anyone is listening in upstairs.
I'm Arizona Family political editor Dennis Welch.
Dennis, fake news Welch. Try to tell the truth.
And this is the Politics Unplugged podcast.
Dennis, if you have a problem with substance abuse, I am more than willing to talk to you anytime you need.
All right, and welcome back to Politics Unplugged, the podcast. And this week, we are graced with the presence of Marlene Woods, former congressional candidate, and she's making another run for that in the North Phoenix district, trying to win the Democratic nomination again so she could take on incumbent David Schweikert again. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and first question, I was joking about it like first up, but like I'm just going to ask you, like, why the hell do you want to run again? Why?
Well, I told you that my kids wanted to commit me.
And I see where they're coming from.
But look, Dennis, the why. I am a product of Cuban immigrants.
Sure.
My parents came to this country in the 60s. My mother was 18 years old, leaving a fascist dictatorship to come to the United States of America for freedom, for an opportunity. I was raised in a home where we love our country, we defend our country, we fight and don't shrink from a fight. Excuse me. We don't shrink from a fight. We certainly don't bow down to bullies.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm running. I'm running because we need a fighter. We need a fighter for the middle class. We need a fighter who will tell the truth. And this district is craving someone who will fight for them.
It's pretty early in the term. I mean, in David Schweikert's new term. I mean, why not wait a little bit longer to announce that you're running again? Or, you know, maybe the question is, like, take me through the process, because you didn't get through the primary. At what point did you realize after that outcome didn't come out the way you wanted it to? Did you realize, like, look, I'm going to take another shot at this. I want another shot at this.
Well, first of all, I don't think it's too early.
Okay.
We have material on an hourly basis on what is going on. So I don't think it's too early. I think we need to take this fight to David Schweikert right now.
Mm-hmm. Right
now, every day, he is complicit with what is going on in this administration. He is silent. He will not be. He won't meet with his constituents. He won't have a town hall. It's unacceptable. So I don't think it's too early. Look, you ask about the primary. Look, the primary was a messy 6-way primary.
Yeah.
And three of us it was very tight. It was a coin toss. There were three of us within under 2,000 votes. Let's remember what happened in that primary. There was one person who was attacked in that primary by Republicans in a 6-way primary, and it was me.
Mm-hmm.
Republicans spent thousands of dollars lying about me on television. Republicans spent tens of thousands of dollars trying to bounce me off a ballot. Why? Because they were afraid of me.
Mm-hmm.
They were afraid of me. They didn't spend any money on the other people in the primary. They were trying to get me out of the primary.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, and then we can move forward. But I think it's important to hear from you, lessons learned from the prior. Yes, it was a crowded primary in that, and a lot of times, the argument can be made like it's a coin flip. You can get some unexpected outcomes when you start getting a lot of candidates into one race. But one of the attack lines I know from your Democratic opponents was, your connections to the Republican Party. I believe you used to be registered as a Republican. You've since registered as a Democrat now, obviously. That was a line of attack. It made shine a spotlight on some of the donations you'd made in the past to Republican candidates. How do you deal with that? Do you feel like that was a big problem that prevented you from winning last year? Do you feel like you got to deal with it differently moving forward?
Look, nothing's changed. I've never hidden the fact that I was a Republican.
Okay.
what I said then and what I would say now is that I had the support of big Democratic sitting officials and former. And let's start right now. Who's endorsed me already at launch? Our Attorney General, Chris Mays.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, a former Republican.
Sure was.
Our former governor, Janet Napolitano. These are two public servants who know what it takes to win a general election in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
They know that I am the one who can beat David Schweikert. And again, who knows it as well? The Republicans, because they are the ones who came after me in that primary. So same deal. I'm honest, and I always was with regard to the Republican history. And the fact of the matter is that I had the support of the Democratic Party leaders and unions, and I have already started building that coalition now. In fact, today we released the endorsement of former Congressman Ron Barber. These are folks who know how to win as Democrats in this state, in this district. They know what it takes, and they know that I am the fighter. By the way, I am not afraid to throw an elbow or a punch when it comes right down to it. So that's what we need, and that's what I'll be.
What do you tell somebody on the campaign trail, or someone who walks up and says, "Look, I don't trust you. You used to be a Republican. You used to donate to Republicans like Jan Brewer or whoever. I don't trust people like that." What do you tell them?
Well, I would say, how do you feel about our Attorney General, Chris Mays, who I don't know how the woman sleeps, but she is fighting every battle for you. Mr. Doubtful or Miss Doubtful. She's fighting every battle. She was a former Republican, and she's fighting your battles right now.
Yeah.
She knows what it takes. She is doing it, and she is supporting me because she knows that I am that leader as well who will fight for the middle class.
And given the fact you're going to be running in a district against an incumbent candidate that has fought off challenger after challenger every 2 years, I joke with Colin all the time about this. It's like clockwork. David Schweikert's vulnerable, and every 2 years, David Schweikert wins. It is a Republican-leaning district. It's kept a Republican in there for a long time. How does a Democrat have to run, do you think, this time to win and finally get a seat in that district that is just for so long evaded, Democrats, in their attempts to take it over?
Well, again, that's why I'm in early.
Yeah.
I'm in early because we need to message this early. We need to point out exactly how complicit David Schweikert is in all of the things that are happening. Look, the guy who screams in empty halls of Congress about the national debt just signed on and just voted for a budget that adds $4 trillion to the deficit. So those are the types of messages that we need to be clear about daily. And that's why I'm doing this early. We have to be consistent. We have to talk about the economy. We have to talk about how this administration and David Schweikert is complicit with it is hurting veterans, is hurting our ability to be safe on a national level and also at home. These are messages that will resonate in CD1. They will.
And, obviously, the political environment, the dynamics can change a lot between now and the fall of next year. But, what is the message from you? What's the main top 3 takeaways that you're running on? Not so much. I don't want to hear you're critical of the Trump administration and you say in Schweikert's complicity in all this. I get all that, but what do you feel needs to get done?
I think that's a great question. We as Democrats need to listen. So as a journalist, this is what we do best, is to listen to people. And we didn't do that, I don't think, quite well last time around. We need to listen. We need to meet people where they are. And what is it? It's the economy. It is the price of eggs. It's the price of bread. It's the price of a gallon of milk. We have to listen and work on building up our economy and building up the middle class and making sure that they don't tear down the programs and the bills that were passed in bipartisan ways that are already helping it within our district.
Okay, so now this is where I put real skeptical hat on, because I hear this from politicians all the time. They're talking about the price of eggs and bacon and this, that, and the other thing. But these are all market forces, and when you start talking about the price of eggs, I mean, you have to start talking about bird flu that has created the increase in that. I mean, so I always ask politicians, like, what the heck can a politician do when it starts coming to the price of things like that in these situations?
Well,
what can be done?
Well, the first thing that they can do is tell the truth.
Okay.
Which is not what this administration said. This administration said the price of eggs is going to go down on day one.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't. The prices are up. Oh, the economy is going to be great. Stock market crashes. The first thing that we can do is tell the truth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the truth is, politicians can't do much about price, can they?
Well,
I mean, if Marlene Woods stands up, I'm going to make sure everything.
No,
if you tell them that the prices are going to go down, you were just saying, like, these are the issues people are worried about, but there's not much. I mean, I could be wrong, but show me how I'm wrong.
We can do things with the economy to build up the middle class. Let's start here, Dennis. How about if we stop giving tax breaks to the very wealthy in this country and maybe give a tax break to those who are struggling, to the middle class, and lift them up. Mm-hmm. But this administration wants to give the tax breaks $4 trillion worth. That's what they're going to add to the deficit to pay for that tax break for the very wealthy. I would start there.
Okay. What other issues then? I mean, obviously, you do not favor extending the Trump tax cuts.
Nope.
Which is, it appears to be a very top goal of the Trump administration. What else does candidate Woods stand for?
We have a system of governance that seems to have escaped the current climate. We have a system of checks and balances. And what's happening right now is illegal. Mm-hmm. So we have got to get a grip on that. We have got to look, I do believe that we have got to reform government. But how do we do it? We do it responsibly and we do it legally. Mm-hmm. And that is not happening right now. We have scorched earth. Right now, we have an unelected billionaire taking a chainsaw to things that are only going to hurt veterans. It's only going to hurt our safety. I mean, think about park rangers who have been fired, who protect the Tonto National Forest, for instance, which part of is in my district. So we have got to right the ship here mm-hmm. and follow the law. We have a system of checks and balances. If they find inefficiencies, if they find waste, great. Bring it to Congress. Let's have a grown-up conversation about it.
Okay. I have so much wanted to go on. I did want to ask you a couple of topical things here. I mean, you saw the president's speech to Congress the other night, and you saw Democrats were waving placards. One gentleman, Al Green, was waving a cane, got kicked out of the chamber for that. What are your thoughts on how Democrats comported themselves during the president's speech?
Well, I got to tell you, I love the song Love and Happiness by Al Green. Not probably that Al Green, but look, that's not my style. I would say we have come to a place in our country where we could really use a little bit more grace within the fight, and that's what I would say.
Okay, and so we're talking about moving forward in this campaign. How much money do you think you're going to need to raise to take David Schweikert out, get through a primary to take David Schweikert out this time, and where does that money come from?
Well, I've always thought it was about $2 million to get through a primary. That's what it was last time around. It's probably about the same, and then at least these races get more expensive every time. I don't know, $6-7 million after that.
All right, and again, let's circling back there to why you want to do this again. I want to get your thoughts on politics. You've been in the public eye for a long time as a journalist. You were married to a very respected politician for many years. You've been around it. Let me get your thoughts on how the state of politics today and how it's changed.
Wow, it's changed a lot. It used to be when Grant was Attorney General that he could sit down with Democrats or Republicans and solve a problem. They could come to a compromise and have civil conversation. And we need to get back to that. Look, Dennis, I will tell you something. I am an optimist. I wouldn't be running if I wasn't. I am an optimist that at least on my side of it, that's how I plan on running a race and on being in Congress. With grace, with grit, with strength, knowing always what the moral compass is, and with compromise and civility if possible. But we've come to a place where we can't agree on a set of facts, and it's tragic. And again, I'm an optimist, and I'm going to fight like hell to see if we can right the ship just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, being an optimist, I guess, has got to be part of that. I still just don't understand why people want to put themselves through the crucible of all this. You went through it once, and we wrap on this. I mean, what's the number one lesson coming out of that you learned running for office for the first time that you can apply running this time?
Well, you asked me why I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I have 5 children, 3 grandchildren. I'm doing it for them. I'm doing it for them and for the children and grandchildren and the generations to come. That's why. Mm-hmm. That's why. I enjoyed running for office. I enjoyed.
Really?
Yeah, it's shocking.
Oh man,
it's shocking.
That's like breaking news. I don't know anybody who enjoys
Maybe
that.
Maybe that's the headline, Dennis.
Dialing for dollars, like glad handing.
Let me tell you why I don't mind. I don't mind because it's in the listening. When I call somebody, it's not all transactional to me. I want to hear what people have to say. And people are all over the map. I want to hear their story. I want to hear their example. I want to hear through their filter of life how they see this. Mm-hmm. And again, as a journalist, as a storyteller, I couldn't be in a happier place. I want to hear.
All right, and okay, we're wrapping up right about now, but I do want to ask you, can we get, a guarantee that a commitment from you that you'll be coming back here on the show as the campaign heats up? Because a lot of times these politicians, they all want to talk early, but then like when the race is heating up, it's like, we're busy, Dennis. We don't want to talk. We get a commitment that we can get you back on the show.
Hey, listen, I used to work in this building, and I know exactly where the parking lot is, and I will be back anytime you invite me.
All right, and final question, what was on the radio? What music were you listening to on the way over here?
You know what? I was not listening to
anything. If you say NPR, I'm going to roll my eyes.
No, I was probably talking to my campaign manager, but I wasn't listening to anything on my way here.
What do you listen to on after a good day on the campaign trail, since you enjoy it so much?
Oh, well, you know what I was listening to this morning was Sia. Oh. So
okay.
Yeah, I like Sia. I like Pink. I like
Pink. All right.
Yeah, I know you're kind of a punk rocker.
Yeah, I like Pink.
You like Pink?
Yeah, I like Pink. Tim Armstrong wrote a lot of her songs.
Yeah, there you go. I like the Chicks. I have kind of a. That's one thing I learned from my husband. He was really into music, and
he learned to play guitar late.
Yes, he did.
If I remember right, not bad at it.
He got pretty good, and he started after he turned 50 and got really good and wrote songs and wrote beautiful music and did very eclectic music. So I learned a lot from him.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by here, and I think that's about all the time we have. And say hi to Joe Wolf for me.
I will. Joe's great, and I'll tell him that you send your regards.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. Welcome back to the second half of the Politics Unplugged podcast. As always, Colin Stanton, the producer extraordinaire, joining us right now. Dude.
Yeah.
How you doing today?
I'm all right. I'm hanging in there.
Yeah, me too, man. It's like rainy.
Yeah,
I feel just
like a long week.
I feel like a little off. Like everything's just a little out of sync today, like all day.
I feel like I've got a cold coming on, but I've been too busy to deal with it. So now it's just I'll hit the end of the day, and it's just gonna kick my butt going into the weekend.
Yeah. What do you do when you know something's coming on? Like I don't know. I just I used to think though that not Theraflu, there's tablets that you can dissolve in water.
Oh, yeah.
They say it doesn't. They say it doesn't really help, but in my head it does.
Is it the echinacea? Is that what you're thinking of?
I think something like that.
Yeah. No, I just sort of take it. I don't prep for it.
You don't prep for it. You just head on, man.
Run over.
Because you and me, cold. We're going. We're going down.
We're going toe to toe. Yeah, that's how it works.
All right, man. Hey, what'd you think of Marlene Woods' interview? Again, I'm just astounded anybody wants to put themselves through that.
I know.
I don't get it, man.
She says she
I mean, good for
enjoys
her.
it. Yeah, good for. I mean, if she enjoys it, good for her. That's great. You need someone who enjoys it to go through that process. It would not be me.
Did you believe her when she said she enjoys the campaigning? I mean,
she
from
said
like
it
the 50,
convincingly.
maybe from the 50,000 foot level. Yes.
I mean, maybe she's had enough of a break from the campaign that you forget all the stuff you hate about it and just remember the conversations you enjoyed.
Yeah. She seemed really convinced that convincing that she did enjoy the whole process of campaigning.
I'll take her on her word. I get the logic behind jumping in this early because, like we said, she was in a field of 6 last time.
Yeah.
It's hard to make yourself stand out quickly by that. Get out early, try and narrow that field down as much as you can. Get a jump start on everyone. It makes sense.
Well, the problem is it's like the never-ending campaign cycle.
It really is.
And the problem with that is that it spills over more and more into the chambers in Congress, into the state legislative chambers. And you see that all the time. It has always been an element of that, particularly at the Arizona legislature, and I'll speak from that experience.
Yeah.
But now it's just there's almost no line at all between the campaign and the office. You'll see these crazy, dumb, stupid bills that are introduced by lawmakers. And then 5 minutes later, and these bills have no chance in hell of going anywhere.
Yeah.
And 5 minutes later, you see a fundraising email pop up.
Yes.
I mean, all it is a headline and a fundraising grab, and it's just like you're running to maintain your office. You're running for power's sake, and like, what's the fucking point anymore? Yeah. And it used to have a little bit of a cooling off period. On the presidential level, every 4 years you had an election. Then you put your battle axes away for 3 years. Try to let someone govern, and then you go at it again.
Something done.
Yeah, and then go at it again.
Do the campaigning again.
But now it's never ending.
Yeah.
We were chatting about Gavin Newsom. Remember, I sent you a text like, geez, tell me you're running without telling me you're actually freaking running.
Yes.
I mean, Gavin Newsom's he's already out there campaigning for the Democratic nomination for 2028 already.
Yeah.
It appears to me.
Yeah. With a peculiar approach to it.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure who he's trying to win over with that.
Yeah.
And
the
for those who don't know,
transgender,
yes, he said he does not believe that transgender athletes should be competing as women.
Yeah.
And
that's the top issue facing America today. I'm joking.
I believe, one of the groups who's very anti-transgender athlete, who's fighting pretending it's a fight for women, was able to identify in high schools across the country, I believe, something like 5 athletes.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to worry about.
Yeah.
For Newsom to switch views on that, or at least he's been very supportive of LGBT issues by and large. So this, I'm not sure if he was necessarily on the record on the whole sports thing before this, but it feels like a flip, and it's certainly a conscious step away from a good chunk of the party. Why? Because maybe he's speaking his conscience, and he believes he's doing this for righteous reasons.
Well, why wasn't he speaking this a few months ago?
Yes, it just feels like posturing 4 years out, and that's sort of dangerous to start setting. Just from a political viewpoint, it's dangerous to start setting what you say are your moral views based on polling or the most recent election, because that stuff changes in a hurry, man.
Well, and call me crazy. I mean, it seems to me, and we chat a little bit about this. It seems like that old military maxim that armies are always prepared to fight the last war.
Yeah.
And who knows where the country's going to be in 3 years?
Yeah.
Who knows where the country's going to be in a year and a half when we're in the middle of a midterm? Let alone in 3 years when we're up for a presidential election again. Yeah. And it seems very much that Gavin Newsom, just a few months removed from a last election, is already prepared to fight the last war.
Yeah.
And I think, it's you can throw a lot of the norms and the rules and things you thought you knew that carried over from the 20th century. The 20th century stuff is dead. There's kind of like you need to figure out a new politic moving forward.
Yeah.
You've got to figure out something that can bring people together and compete for attention with Donald Trump and his administration. I mean, he's never lacked from getting attention when he wasn't in office, and now that he's in office, every day he's getting an enormous amount of attention.
Yes. We're back to that thing where every time Trump clears his throat, suddenly every network has to cut in and carry it live and then talk about it for 3 hours until he does it again.
Yeah. It's absolutely just incredible. And that's where we're at. I mean, this is Donald Trump. Love him, hate him, whatever. The guy knows how to get and maintain attention.
He does.
Because, I mean, that's a goal. Like, you come in, you hear everybody saying that. Like, oh, we're not going to jump to everything that Donald Trump does. But what is everybody doing?
They jump every time.
They jump because you've got to, because a lot of this stuff is big news. So,
yeah. And does Newsom realize he's still the governor of California? Like, move to the right all you want. You're still the governor of California. You're not winning over a huge chunk of Republican voters.
Yeah, and I guess, good luck to Gavin over there as he begins his long journey to the White House.
Yeah.
I would assume things will change from between now and then. And again, I just do not understand the flip or whatever it was on that, why he comes out.
No.
On this issue. I mean, you'd think there'd be something else that he might want to, introduce himself to, or if he's going down this direction, down this road, that maybe there'd be, some other issue you'd want to engage with.
And someone brought up an interesting stat on this. I thought, when you start taking these stances on issues like this, when public opinion crossed 50% on interracial marriage? 1996.
Good God.
Yeah. So imagine if you were the politician in 1992 who was planting his flag on the no interracial marriage thing, no mixing of the races, because that was better than a 50% view then.
Well, or
that'd be a tough one to live down a few years later.
Yeah, or even something a little bit more recent. I mean, same-sex marriage.
Yeah.
I mean, the numbers there flipped dramatically,
Yes.
and it flipped super fast.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I just, on the transgender athlete thing, I just keep coming back to, you don't have to give a shit about this, and you cannot make me give a shit about this.
No,
the 5 kids out there you're worried about, I'm not worried about.
No.
And please stop telling me the story about the girl who got her nose broken playing volleyball. It didn't happen. It's every time I hear that argument, I think, here's another person who's never actually watched volleyball. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
I've seen the play. She's fine.
Yeah.
It didn't happen.
No.
And the transgender athlete who allegedly caused this issue, not that good. I mean, collegiate athlete, but not like some standout behemoth that others were in terror of, as some would like you to believe.
And what I don't get is, like, so many people have such strong opinions about this issue, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I don't, like, when it comes to transgender and athletes or kids, particularly when you start talking about that, like, I don't know what the science is. I haven't done the study on that, and I'm not a damn expert on that. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend to have some strong, opinion about what should or should not be done, but when it comes to this problem, like, transgender athletes, it seems like so minuscule.
It's minuscule.
Like,
and
why are people getting so damn worked up about
I don't
this?
know. And like, you want to make an argument that someone who is biologically male has a physical advantage over a biological female? Sure.
Yeah.
I get that. In the numbers we're talking about, I don't care. And Tommy Tuberville was making the argument the other day that women's sports are dying in some areas because these poor girls' teams are having to compete against teams made up entirely of boys who are pretending to be girls now, and they can't compete. And that's bullshit. It's absolutely made up, and it's false, and it's stupid, and stop.
Yeah, and all of this, unfortunately, is like downstream from, not very far downstream from just, picking on the transgender community. And I have friends and know people who are transgender, and I care about them, and I want them to be able to live their life, their best life, you know, in their lives living as transgender human beings is not interfering with your life at all.
No. And if your daughter is playing against a team that has one player who might be slightly better than some of the others because that player was born biologically a male. Yeah, sorry, I don't give a shit.
I don't either. And I know. And it's like, and I don't have that, I don't know what the science is, but like, God damn, everybody's a freaking expert anymore on this stuff.
Yeah. And like, I've heard people get into like, the importance of the records and all. It's high school sports. You don't have to give a shit.
Yeah, I know.
I played high school sports. I don't give a shit. I didn't then. I don't now. It was fun if, I don't care.
No.
It's not that important.
No.
Let the kid have a life.
Mm-hmm. No, and let the transgender adults have. Again, I just think it's all like just barely downstream from all that, and I don't understand why there's always got to be some group that needs to be punched down upon.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. I mean, if we want to transition and start talking about punching down, I mean, we could talk about the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah. So big game against the Clippers the other day.
Probably one of the more, from what I heard from you, one of the more entertaining calls of a game.
Yeah, I started texting you, I think probably around the second quarter.
Yeah.
I'm watching the TNT broadcast of it, and Stan Van Gundy's doing the game and just tearing the Suns apart, and it was just funny. Mm-hmm. I mean, I couldn't argue with what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
But there, the Clippers inbounded a ball and got an uncontested layup, and Van Gundy's just like, "Oh, come on, come on!" Just as a basketball coach and former player and commentator, he was just like deeply offended by the Suns' performance.
And he probably was like voicing the frustration of Suns fans throughout the entire valley.
Yeah. And then they came back and won. It was just funny. Thanks to Colin Gillespie, the G Leaguer, who was tremendous.
And I know, like it's whipping a dead horse here. Like, look, I just want to make clear, like I love the Phoenix Suns, and they're important to me as there are for a lot of people. I mean, when I first moved here as a teenager, it was one of the first things that had me connected to the valley. Was the Phoenix Suns. I mean, I wasn't even really that into the NBA until I moved out here. I used to watch a lot of college basketball, and I watched some Chicago Bulls games on WGN back where I grew up in the Midwest. But by and large, the NBA I didn't care too much about it. I watched the Bulls games because Michael Jordan was pretty exciting back then, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But when he moved out here, I was able to connect with that team, and it helped me when moving out here, moving away from my friends. It was great. You'd watch the simulcast with and it was really amazing. Like, who did it? It was Cotton Fitzsimmons and Al McCoy did the simulcast. No, it wasn't Cotton. Was this coach? It was Dick Van Arsdale.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Remember Dick Van Arsdale? Yeah. And Al McCoy did the simulcast and stuff like that. It was great, it was an important team, and it's just frustrating that this team has always fallen this short from getting a championship. And then we were told we were supposed to have these great grand expectations. Yeah. And here we are. Was it 2 years since Durant came here with the thousands of people showed up at the press conference and was all excited. And we knew we were getting a championship, and here we are, on the verge of not even making the playoffs. Yeah. And it's just frustrating.
Yeah, they're still 11th, so out of the play-in. The one glimmer of hope for them now, and it's got sort of a lame glimmer of hope, but the 10th place team is the Dallas Mavericks, who are now without everyone. They traded Luka for Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis strained an adductor. He's out.
Yeah, he played like 20 minutes for the team, right?
It was a fabulous 20 minutes, by the way.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
He was tremendous in those 20 minutes.
Sure it was.
And then got injured. The two other big men they have are both Gafford and Lively. They're both out injured. And Kyrie Irving just tore his ACL.
And he's going to be out for most of next season.
Yeah,
too.
he's probably out for a chunk of next season.
No.
So they're ahead of the Suns. They are just beyond screwed right now. So there's a really good chance that someone could catch them. The Suns are just barely ahead of the Trailblazers, who have been, I mean, from an administrative standpoint, essentially tanking this season. Except the team started playing really, really well a couple months ago and could absolutely sneak into the 10th spot. Probably driving the GM nuts if they do it.
You think DeAndre Ayton might be motivated to play well?
A little bit, yeah.
Might be motivated to start dominating. Don't you miss him yet?
Yes.
Don't you miss him?
Oh, God. I mean,
problems seemed so small back when he was with that team with him.
Yeah. Don't know that I miss him. Not sure that the trade in retrospect looks all that great. Certainly the fact that they managed to take the number 1 overall pick in a draft that had, among others, Luka Doncic. And down the line, they've managed to turn that into all they have to show for it is Grayson Allen, who's been very good. I like Grayson Allen. He's a good player. He's been a solid contribution.
I do too.
It's not, they could have had Luka. They have Grayson Allen is not, most people, despite his shortcomings, would probably rather have Luka. In no way a shot at Grayson Allen. Like him a lot. That's all they've got left.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I just can't stand the Lakers. That's the other part of the whole thing, and they're going to be in the finals again.
It's everyone was sort of scoffing at the JJ Redick hire.
Yeah,
he's done a phenomenal job there.
He's
genuinely phenomenal coaching.
He's done a great job.
Could be coach of the year.
He's done a great job, and this team is.
The thing that floors me, and I was one of those sort of minority voices who thought after trading Luka for Anthony Davis, that in the short term the Mavs were going to be the better team. I thought that lineup made a lot more sense than the Luka LeBron lineup.
Mm-hmm.
And the Luka LeBron lineup has been phenomenal. And the crazy thing, and credit JJ Redick on this, but if you look at the defensive numbers and just how they're performing, they traded Anthony Davis, who is a annual candidate for Defensive Player of the Year, a great, great defensive player. And Luka is, on a good day, a traffic cone that people are just forced to dribble around.
Yes.
You cannot get Luka interested in defense. He will not do it. He can't do it. He looks lost in traffic, like you dropped a caveman into Times Square, looking around lost. And they got better defensively.
Right.
Give JJ Redick a crown for that. That's insane.
Well, I mean, again, it just comes down to us telling Marlene Woods, I can't wait for the start of the baseball season. I just want to forget this basketball season ever happened. I mean, who knows?
I'm an Angels fan. We don't look forward to the start of baseball season.
You don't look forward to baseball if you're an Angels fan.
No.
It's just a tragically cursed team.
No. Like, we have one of the best players in baseball, a historically great player, and you look at him and you just sort of feel guilty. I'm sorry we did this to you, man.
You had Shohei and Mike Trout.
Yeah. It couldn't make the playoffs. I know.
All right. On a day where I'm just out of sync of everything.
Out of sync, yeah.
And, I think right there's a pretty good spot to wrap up.
Do it. All right.
You want to tease anything ahead to next week? Any great teases?
No. Been working on a great On Your Side story that's going to air tentatively Wednesday. I'm looking forward to that.
Was that the one with the car?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great story. Yeah. It's a real feel-good story.
It's a feel-good story. We don't do a whole lot of those.
No.
And this was a great one. This was career high point. There are a few stories I've enjoyed as much as this one.
No, it's
there'll be a Gary Harper On Your Side story, we think, Wednesday.
Yeah, and seriously, I know the story's not, I'm not giving anything away, but trust me, you'll feel better, and you'll have just that much more hope in humanity.
Yeah.
After you see the story.
it's great anytime you do a story on someone who is a really good person who has had a sort of hard go of it, and viewers come forward to express their support and to actually step forward and help someone.
Yeah,
it's really cool when that happens. That's what happened here.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you reminded me of that and was able to talk about that. It's a great story. Check it out.
Yeah. See you in a week.
See ya.
Thanks for listening. You can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, the Google Store, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. See you next time.